Very good evening here with Times Now, India's news leader. Thanks for being with us. My name is Pranesh Kumar Roy. Before we get you the top story that we are tracking, a quick look at the headlines. The head of the government in Uttar Pradesh turns head priest for 5 days. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath's participation in the Dasahra procession sparks a massive political controversy. Is this Sabka Saath? Taunts opposition as they question UP CM's absence from the secretariat, call him a part-time CM. BJP calls it opposition's intolerance. Travesty after tragedy in Mumbai. 23 people lost their lives, but not one head rolls. The state could not ensure their safety. Will they now provide swift justice? A VVIP brat involved in a hit-and-run case allowed to go scot-free. Note booked by cops, then flees from the hospital. No case registered. Is this laxity or plain complicity? Netas to beat. Kamal Hassan and Rajnikant share stage but not thoughts. Rajni takes a dig at Kamal Hassan, says just fame and money not enough to be a good neta. And it's a massive Times Now impact. The cop who assaulted and attempted to rape a minor in police station is booked, sacked and arrested after Times Now report. On Friday, civic apathy and negligence from authorities claimed lives of 23 people who were crushed to death in Mumbai stampede. Despite the shocking death toll, there is absolutely no accountability as netas and babus continue to play blame game. Times Now spoke to distraught family members of the victims who have been shattered due to the tragic loss of lives of their loved ones. Their question is, who is responsible for this criminal negligence? Before I open this up to my panel which is joining us, let's quickly play out some reactions.
जी आपके किसका इंतकाल हुआ है भाई? क्या नाम था पूरा?
मोहम्मद शकील।
मोहम्मद शकील। क्या करते थे और कहाँ जा रहे थे वो?
टेलर थे और काम पे जा रहे थे।
तो कल कितने बजे घर से निकले थे और घर में उनके कौन कौन है?
9:21 पे निकले थे, गाड़ी पकड़े थे
जी।
और उनके घर में सब लोग हैं।
अच्छा।
भाई, माँ, बाप।
क्या काम करते हो?
सिलाई का।
कहाँ पर?
दादर।
तो एल्फिस्टन रोड उतर के रोज़ाना जाते हो?
हाँ।
अच्छा।
उनकी बीवी भी है।
तो आप किसको जिम्मेदार ठहराते हैं इस हादसे के?
गवर्नमेंट।
क्यों?
ब्रिज बनाया नहीं ना, छोड़ा।
तो रोज़ाना इस तरह का रश रहता था क्या वहाँ?
रोजाना क्या, 2 साल से यही रस है।
अच्छा, तो किसी ने मतलब कंप्लेंट वगैरह की थी कि यहाँ पर कुछ
लेकिन कोई सुनवाई नहीं है।
कल एल्फिस्टन स्टेशन पे जो दुर्दैवी घटना घड़ी, उसमें काफ़ी लोगों का मृत्यु हुआ है। उसमें मेरे विभाग की एक श्रद्धा वरपे करके लड़की थी, 22 साल की, उसका भी निधन हुआ है। बहुत ही अच्छा परिवार था, सुशिक्षित परिवार था, मेरे काफ़ी नज़दीकी रिलेशंस थे उनसे। उन पे जो आज दुख हुआ है उनके घर को, उसमें मेरा परिवार, मैं भी शामिल हूँ। मैं प्रशासन से रिक्वेस्ट करूँगा और शासन से भी रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि जो उनको मुआवजा मिलना चाहिए वो जल्दी दिया जाए, उनके लिए उनको कोई भागदौड़ ना करना पड़े। उसी में प्रशासन को ये भी बोलना चाहूँगा कि जो रेलवे के प्रॉब्लम्स है, जो ऐसे ब्रिजेस के प्रॉब्लम्स है या और भी कुछ प्रॉब्लम्स है, उसकी तरफ ज़रा ध्यान दिया जाए और वो प्रॉब्लम्स दूर की जाए ताकि अगली बार ऐसी घटना ना हो।
All right, अगली बार ऐसी घटना ना हो. Those were family members of some of the victims. Let me now open this up. Shaina NC, spokesperson of the BJP, joining us. Mahesh Tapse, spokesperson of the NCP, with us. Vikram Singh, former IPS officer, with us from Lucknow. Trisha Shetty, lawyer and activist, and Bijon Mishra, the Aam Aadmi voice on this panel. Let me begin by asking you, Mr. Mishra, what's your reaction, sir? 3 days later, no arrests, not one officer has been named in the FIR, no heads have rolled.
So my reaction is, such things will keep happening. Citizens will become victims of such callousness. We will continue being victims of such irresponsible governance because there is no accountability, no transparency in terms of working system, no planning. Nobody is made accountable to do planning in a manner which should be done in the interest of the citizens, in the interest of the passengers. So I am looking at that if none of the heads hold roll, and if people do not take onus on such callousness, we will keep seeing such incidents happening, and the political parties will keep fighting with each other and trying to take score over each other to mislead the citizens of our country. It is most unfortunate that, you know, the politicians, instead of trying to find long-term sustainable solutions, they will keep fighting with each other on the channels, which you will see right now after I finish, how they will fight for each other, and they'll start doing blaming game to each other. Instead of trying to figure out how all the people can work together who are elected representatives, who have been elected in the interest of the citizens, they will not discuss on that. They'll start finding faults that who did what in their time and why this is not happening.
All right, Bijon Mishra, before I go to the politicians on the panel, let me go to Dr. Vikram Singh, who I see is nodding. Yes, sir.
I would like to say that I totally agree with Mr. Bijon Mishra. He has raised his concern that we have done nothing except doing damage control. I am not aware if any FIR has been lodged, and if it has been lodged, under what sections, and why no arrests till now. The very fact that we blame the rains, the torrential rains, for the calamity, and we did not pinpoint any responsibility on those who chose to overlook the CAG recommendations that the foot overbridge was inadequate to cater to the vast number of people and commuters, and also that there was no repairs, there was no revamping of the systems. Therefore, it was largely due to this that there was a calamity. The exit route was choked, the ingress was choked, there was no CCTVs, there was no SOP for damage control, and there was no emergency flying squad to cater to such contingencies. Crowd management is a part of any bandobast in any railway station and anywhere where you expect and anticipate that this will happen. But not to lodge an FIR, not to arrest anyone, not to suspend any senior railway official till now raises many more questions. You may recall that after the Muzaffarnagar episode, we said that the railways are taking a very liberal view against those defaulters. But the very fact that the liberal view was taken then, we allowed this calamity to happen, and the railway authorities have the blood of 23 innocent commuters.
Absolutely, you are right, sir. Shaina NC, would you like to take those questions? What is the state going to do, ma'am?
I would like to reply every single question. First, if we go into a blame game, I can keep on talking about what happened during the Congress NCP, who actually built this foot over bridge, but I don't want to go down that route because I think wasteful spending of public money has to be condemned. They have to be held accountable too. Piyush Goyal, as the railway minister, has not only asked for a probe, there is an audit of not one foot over bridge, but all the foot over bridges of Mumbai. Safety and security, which has been a question when it comes to Mumbai. Mr. Goyal has asked all the general managers for the next 18 months to focus only on security and safety with no budgetary constraint. I think these are positive solutions. If we talk about who is responsible, maybe we should also question who actually spread the rumor that the bridge was going to collapse and that's why there was a stampede. If there are anti-social elements as well, they too need to be brought to task. I believe, and I will
Who will
say
bring
on
them to
record,
task,
yes,
ma'am?
there is a bureaucracy
Your party is in power.
In the railways of our country. We will,
That
let me please complete my point. The red tapeism and the bureaucracy in the railways is something that we have seen government after government. At least you need to give it to the railway minister that he had the political will to take 2 meetings of 6.5 hours, 8.5 hours and come up with conclusive solutions. What are those solutions? The tender process cannot take a year plus. You have to have multiple agencies, whether it's the Western Railways, Central Railways, BMC.
Okay, let me bring in Mahesh Tapse of the NCP.
All collaborate and collectively come up with solutions, and the only focus is on safety and security of the passenger on the railways and off the railways on the tracks.
And Shaina, even as you say that in the evening or late afternoon we had one derailment at the near the CST station, but that apart, Mahesh Tapse of the NCP wants to respond.
I would like to say that what Mr. Vikram Singh has just said is the right approach. The government railway police does not seem to have booked anybody. There is no case of 304A. Although we see there is a criminal negligence and 23 people have died. I mean, this is shocking. If we were to see the statement made by the former railway minister, Mr. Suresh Prabhu, he said the sanction for this bridge was given in 2015. The powers to do any tendering up to the value of 25 crores has been given to the local general manager. Who are the GMs? Which GM is being shielded? Why the commissioner of rail safety is not speaking? Why the railway minister has to make announcement for safety measures? I think this is part of the regular process which the commissioner of rail safety should have spoken. But when the former railway minister has given the powers,
Sir, we wouldn't be in this predicament if it wasn't for your wasteful spending with no vision
Shaina,
plan
please
for
don't
the
take a
city of
political
Mumbai.
turn at this
15
moment.
years
We
you
are
had ample opportunity
we are
to do
trying
what
to
you
say
needed to.
why the railway bureaucracy is so lax. Please don't try to make it political. Don't make it BJP versus the Congress versus the NCP. Here we are trying to fix up a system.
No, you are making it by suggesting
I'm
so.
not.
I am
Here the
conceding to
former
point.
railway
Shaina, let him make a
minister
point.
has said
Shaina, let him make a
that
point, then I'll give you time to
25
respond to
crores
Mr.
worth of
Mahesh
contracts
Tapse.
can be given by the general manager of the railways. Now, who are the general managers who have not given those contracts? This is all we are asking. And why the railway police cannot fix a charge, cannot put up a FIR or a charge sheet against the concerned person? This is my question.
Dr. Singh, I see you raising your hand, sir. Please go ahead.
I would say that the very fact that we have not come out with a cogent and a named FIR speaks volumes about on which side do we stand today. Are we on the side of the deceased, or are we on the side of those government servants, the railway officials, the railway police who have allowed this tragedy to happen? Obviously, we have not learnt our lessons from Muzaffarnagar, and whatever we may say, what happened in the Congress, what happened in this, we are not concerned about which political party or outfit did what. We are concerned with clean and effective administration with a no-nonsense approach towards such accidents. They are happening with nauseating frequency, and the time has come to see that those who are responsible for these accidents should be dismissed from service in the next 72 hours, as we do in such serious cases.
All that, will that happen? Will those who are responsible for this lapse and the loss of 23 lives, will they be dismissed from service in the next 72 hours? Shaina?
First and foremost, let me please say, again, we're going down the track of what happened in the past. I'd rather not focus on that and focus on what is the blueprint ahead. You have Mr. Piyush Goyal not only talking about the audit for the foot-over bridges, but also the platforms, the distance between the trains and the platform. We haven't even discussed that he actually was coming to Mumbai to give Mumbai a Dasera gift of 100 new trains, which would relieve the commuters of their woes of travel every day. That apart, I think that he himself, this is the first railway minister in the country who has conceded that yes, there is red tapeism and bureaucracy, and I want to do away with it. What has he told the railway officials? He has asked for over 200 officials to give up their, seated positions and to be on platforms to ensure.
No, we appreciate the safety push by Piyush Goyal, the new railways minister. Shaina, no, nobody is objecting to that. We all appreciate the safety push made by Piyush Goyal, the newly appointed. No, Shaina, you're missing the point. The question is, will the state now do its job? Will the police book those who are responsible? And like Dr. Vikram Singh is making the point, will the state in the next 72 hours dismiss or at least book those people who are behind the lapse?
I'm sure the investigation will suggest and will also suggest who were the rumor mongers who spread this entire notion that the bridge is falling and you need to rush and the stampede happened. Those perpetrators must also be booked, because this is not a question of only a narrow foot-over bridge, which anyway under tender process was to be made wider. I concede that the tender did take too long. That's what Mr. Goyal himself said. And as railway minister, he had two options. Either to say, I'll sit back and go with the same process 1 year here or there, and say, no, I will not do that, and in 15 days, I want everything done. And like a true CEO, he sat down and identified point by point what
No, but
would be good
Shaina,
for
nobody
the
is
Mumbai
questioning
commuter.
that. The development can happen. We all appreciate the steps and the announcement made by Piyush Goyal. We have no objections. The only point that we are raising tonight is that will the state take action on the people who are behind this? 23 people have died. I see Bijon Mishra raising his hand. But before that, Shaina, I'll come to you. But Trisha Shetty, come in, make your point.
Based on evidence, not on judgment.
You know, speaking of accountability, I think it's very important to stress on accountability. As a person living in Mumbai, it is not lost on us that it is our taxpayer money that runs the entire country. And we're talking about 23 lives lost. Of course, it's important to speak about accountability. When you can see tweets being sent out to Suresh Prabhu, to our Chief Minister, asking them to look into the situation at Elphinstone Road, and that there was a stampede waiting to happen. There were multiple warning signs sent across to the government, and this is not just accidental. This is, of course, murder at the hands of gross government negligence, and not to pinpoint of, you know, this administration went wrong or the last administration went wrong, but you cannot ignore that 23 people have lost lives. And speaking of wasteful money, then let's also talk about how instead of focusing on, you know, expanding foot-over bridges and making sure safety and security is accounted for people using public transport, we instead have our government allocate resources and fundings for a statue of Shivaji Maharaj and spend money on bullet trains. We have 8 to 10 lives that we lose every day due to people falling off overcrowded trains, but instead we choose to invest.
All right, you've made your point. Trisha Shetty, Shaina NC wants to respond.
We had enough time to rename a bridge,
Trisha Shetty,
but
you've
we
made
didn't
your
have
point.
time to
Shaina
look
wants
into
to come in.
lives lost.
Safety and security.
And again, I have no love lost towards the Congress government. It's not pitting against one government to the other.
Trisha,
Just
safety
to clarify.
and security is at its own place. You cannot co-equate that with development, and especially when you're talking constantly about the bullet train, something which is coming into your country which gives livelihood, infrastructure at 0% interest. Rather than viewing it as a development project, you're viewing it as a parallel to safety security of commuters. I don't think you can do that. Please understand, this is a completely different issue which needs to be addressed head on, but there are lacunas in the system that we've been dealing with for so long now, whether it is the influx in the city, not that I'm subscribing to any regressive politics of some other political parties that have suggested that, oh, this is because of non-Mumbaikars. We don't want to go down that route. We also have to be responsible citizens. I think it's important question is who spread the rumor that the bridge was going to collapse that resulted in this stampede. That is also something
Shaina,
which is as responsible as is the previous administration.
Okay, I think Mahesh Tapse wants to come in, and then I go to Dr. Singh.
Shaina, I would like to say that every day almost 7 million people travel in the Mumbai locals. Vis-a-vis 1,500 people who are going to travel in the bullet train at a cost of 1 lakh crores. Come on, Shaina, 1 lakh crores.
Mr. Tapse, let's not talk over each other. Trisha Shetty, you've made your point. Just here, Mr.
And I want to add another question here.
I'll come to you, Trisha Shetty. You've made your point. Mr. Tapse quickly wants to make a point to
make a submission that almost 7 to 8 lakh people, 70 lakh people are traveling by that Mumbai locals every day. Vis-a-vis the 1,500 people who are going to travel by the Mumbai-Ahmedabad so-called bullet train at a cost of 1 lakh crores. I mean, what is the priority? The bullet train is a priority. Of course, development, yes, everything, yes. But safety of the existing infrastructure. Shaina, you and I both stay in Mumbai, and both of us have traveled by local train. We both remember that. Please, let us give priority to the local and the current infrastructure.
With that of safety security. Safety security is the priority. There is no doing away with it.
But there are so many people traveling by Mumbai local. How many people are going to travel by the Ahmedabad bullet train?
Please understand the problems of the Mumbaikar traveling through public transport. Why do we have the metros?
No, let's not, you know, I think Mr. Tapse, in all fairness, let's not talk about bullet trains here. Let's not talk about bullet trains. Let's talk about accountability. No, let's not divert from the issue. We are here discussing accountability. And like Bijon Mishra said in the beginning,
accountability and transparency.
And like Bijon Mishra said in the beginning, let's not get into a political slugfest with the BJP, NCP, the Congress. Let's not go that route. Dr. Singh quickly wants to come in. Dr. Vikram Singh.
Yes, indeed. I would say let us come to the point and let us not digress and move away from the main points. A case has not been registered. Those responsible have not been questioned. Any kind of damage control that does not include fixing the responsibility and taking drastic and exemplary action immediately in the next 72 hours would not address and make the issues that we are at hand. Because digressing and talking of bullet trains and firing rockets to Mars and Moon will not serve a purpose. We should have a no-nonsense approach to such accidents, and those who are responsible and those who blame the rain god for such calamities, they are the ones to be taken to task. Those who ignored the CAG advance warnings and notices, they have no escape routes whatsoever. They are prima facie guilty. There is no reason why we should overlook those who ignored the CAG warning. Those who failed to inspect the spots. In such crowds, there are police bandobast to make the crowd move and facilitate the movement of crowds.
One quick question to you, Dr. Singh, as somebody who served in the police and as a former head of the police department in Uttar Pradesh, what is the one advice that you have for the Chief Minister of Maharashtra?
I would say that if you don't do anything in the next 48 hours, you would be failing the people of Maharashtra. It is now the time has come to be totally unsparing. You have to be cruel to be kind. Do not take the sides of those who have the blood of innocent.
Closing comment from you, Shaina NC, as somebody representing the party which is in power in the state. Can you assure the viewers on Times Now that a time-bound action will be taken against those found guilty?
Absolutely, but based on evidence and based on this investigative report, I want to say as a Mumbaikar, we want justice. Yes, we do. We don't want another life lost, and we are a responsible government. I don't think the Prime Minister's intent or the Railway Minister's intent can be questioned. The speed at which he has worked, I have seen at KEM Hospital and day after as well, where every rail every rail babu, so to speak, who was sitting in his cabin is out on the field, is only ensuring safety, security as the utmost
Ma'am, had those babus that you're talking about stepped out of their offices before this happened, 23 lives would not have been lost.
Which are waiting on
We are completely out of time on this one. Shaina NC, I appreciate you joining us. Dr. Singh, Trisha Shetty, Mr. Tapse and Bijon Mishra. Thank you for joining us here on Times Now. We all appreciate the efforts taken by the government, but 23 lives have been lost and people are demanding accountability. Smart cities are fine, but let's make cities safe first. Thanks for joining us. Welcome back. We are with Times Now. My name is Pranesh Kumar Roy. To the other big story that we're tracking tonight. A young man is caught driving his car heavily drunk. He rams his vehicle into another car, seriously injuring 6 people, including 3 children. The locals react quickly, nab the drunk man and hand him over to the police, and then starts the bungle up. The police takes the drunk driver to a hospital owned by the family of the accused, and then in broad daylight, this man gives police the slip, comfortably escaping the hospital. In fact, he went from the ICU and out of the hospital. Hearing this story, you would have guessed already that the drunk driver is a VVIP brat. To be exact, he is the grandson of a liquor baron and former member of parliament. Is this complicity or simple incompetence of the Bengaluru police which is allowing this criminal to evade justice so comfortably? Before I open this up to our guests who are joining us, Deepak Bopanna, who's been tracking the developments, is live on the broadcast. Deepak, this is an absolute shocker, isn't it?
Well, definitely. Now, several laxaries that we really look at in this particular case, especially when you consider the police. I spoke to the DCP a little while earlier. He goes on to say that after the accident, it was a few locals there who got hold of him. They even beat him up, and then he had to rush to the hospital. And while the police actually impounded the vehicle, they've even found narcotics. So he's been booked under the NDPS Act as well. Now, then he makes his way to the Malya hospital to get treated. At that juncture, the police go on to actually approach the hospital. This is what they say. They try to get their men near the ICU, but according to the hospital rules, they do not allow constables around there. They say that the constables were present, but how does somebody who needs treatment to an extent to be in the ICU manage to walk out and so easily? And you can see it looks like a very well planned move where one of them, who looks like a bodyguard, actually keeps his footwear outside. It's ready for him to actually walk out. He makes his way out of the hospital at about 6:15 in the morning, 6:14, and then he escapes, and the police have no clue where he is. As of now, they've conducted conducted searches in about two houses and also 2 farmhouses as well in Karnataka and in Chittoor. Now, there's still no idea about where this man is, and the lookout it continues. But at this point, can the police really here back out and say it was not their fault? Because they should have probably heightened security, knowing that this man is an accused, where probably they should have even tested him for drinking driving. Whether they've done that, it's not very clear, because he goes to the hospital, he's taken there because he had sustained injuries. But as of now, while the police say they booked him under NDPS, whether it was their duty, first and foremost duty, because 6 people were injured, 3 children as well included in that. They're out of danger, but nonetheless, something serious could have happened. So whether they tested him for drunk driving, this is another question that we should raise really to the police. And apart from that, as of now, he still continues to have a free run.
Now we are playing the CCTV pictures that you sent us, Deepak, and we are also hearing from reports that there was a armed man who helped this man escape. Is that correct?
Well, as of now, what we understand is that Geeta Vishnu, he most of the time had bodyguards. Whether these bodyguards carried weapons with them, licensed weapons or not, this is something for the police to verify. We are also made to believe here another person, one of the relatives who was harboring Vishnu, he too has been taken into custody. He's been questioned. As of now, the police are not revealing too many details about whether there have been any arrests made. What we also got to hear from sources is that in this car, there were also popular actors from the state of Karnataka who were accompanying him and immediately left after the accident. So all of these details still remain murky. The police remaining tight-lipped, not being vocal about these events, and also the sequence of events really raises suspicion as to what's really happening and whether there is really an intent in the police department here to get hold of this.
Okay, and one quick question, Deepak, before we let you go. I am sure you've spoken to the senior police officials. What are they saying?
Well, the police at this point continue to say that they're putting in all efforts to get hold of him. They continue searching his houses, his farmhouses. But for a man who knows if he's going to come back to the state or probably any time soon, he comes in contact with the police or is accessible, he's going to face an arrest. So probably he's already made his way out of the state, and who knows if the police have not really put in rules at place and especially informed the airports. What if he's already left the country? Are they just going to let go of the case? So this is something that definitely we need to look into, and the police department, though they say they put in all the efforts, it's been over 4 days as of now. He continues to be a free man.
All right. Thank you, Deepak Bopanna, for joining us. Now let me open this up to our Divesh Trisha Shetty, lawyer and activist with us. Dr. Vikram Singh continues to be with us, so is Bijon Mishra. To you, Dr. Singh, first, are you shocked?
Well, nothing shocks and surprises me any longer. The unholy nexus between the liquor mafia and the police is too well known to be reiterated. But I would certainly draw your attention to that of the learned panelists to the fact that most of the police regulations recommend that escape from police custody of a convict would entail the suspension and imprisonment of those who were in charge of holding him in custody. Yes, the CCTV footages also indicate that the policemen who were in charge of the custody were signaling him and giving him the escape route. There were no nakas left, and the version given by the top police officers of Karnataka are not very reassuring. I would say that they should declare a reward of him, have specific teams to go after him. Otherwise, as Deepak has mentioned and apprehended, he might go out of India. In any case, the proper medical examination that should have happened to see whether he was in a state of alcohol and what was the level of alcohol in his bloodstream, that perhaps would have been compromised by now.
Well said, sir, and there are several lapses, and we'll come to all of that,
now
Dr. Singh.
Uphill task for the police.
We'll come to all of that, sir. You make a very important point. We'll come to all of that. I just want to tell our viewers that this is a call-in segment. We want you, the viewer, to call us and share your views. This is happening in Bengaluru today. This can happen in the state that you are in. The state letting of a VVIP brat. The police not doing their job. A man who was drunk, involved in a hit-and-run case, was allowed, in fact, was taken to a private hospital that belongs to his family. And then 4 or 5 hours later, he manages to escape. Before I come to you, Bijon Mishra, we have our first caller. Mr. Dayanand, please go ahead.
Yes.
We can hear you, sir. Please go ahead.
हाँ सर ऐसा है. Just a minute. Hello.
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
हाँ ऐसा है, मेरी भतीजी को हैंग कर दिया गया था 14 जुलाई को रोहतक में। हेलो।
हाँ सर, सुन रहे, बताइए।
हाँ, 14 जुलाई को मेरी भतीजी को हैंग किया गया था चिटोली गांव नियर रोहतक।
जी
हेलो?
जी।
हाँ, तो पुलिस इज नॉट डूइंग एनीथिंग, पुलिस इज नॉट इनिशिएटिंग एक्शन, the accused has not been arrested so far.
ठीक है, you can leave your number, sir. We'll try and get in touch with you and see how we can force the police department, the police there, because it is becoming a norm, Bijon Mishra, that the media has to do the police's job.
Well, you see, if you all were not there, they would have actually gone away scot-free, and that is what is happening. And what I want to tell you is, police is working so beautifully to design escapes. See, this is a well-designed escape which has come to light because you all have exposed this. And it is very clear that the parties to the escape are very influential people in the governance. I won't be afraid, if the Home Minister, Chief Minister, the Home Secretary, they all may be party to it. The point is, what I am making is that the police does a wonderful job in terms of very efficiently and effectively when they get instructions from the top to do such activities which you have exposed today. So it has exposed that if you want if you want somebody to escape, you have to just instruct the police from the top, and you get the deliverables, you get all the efficient deliverables which we as citizens never get. And you just now heard a caller who's lost a life of one of the family members, and till today the police has not worked at all in that case. What does it show? It shows not at all scared about the existing laws and regulations. Nobody is scared about losing job or losing their salary or losing their position.
Absolutely. And we have a next caller.
They're not
Absolutely.
scared because they know.
And that's the case not just in Bengaluru, sir. That's the case across the states. The policemen refuse to do their job. The policemen refuse to help the Aam Aadmi. And we have a next caller, Vivek, calling in from Mumbai. Yes, Vivek, very good evening. Please go ahead.
Because...
good evening. I'll come straight to the point. The thing is that one of my very close friends was traveling. I was just here, not just traveling, he was just walking, having a stroll around the same area where he stays. And he was traveling, he was walking with his daughter, who was maybe about 3 to 4 years old, that's it. And he happened to just make her go from the left side of the road to the right side. And why am I saying this? Because suddenly a car came in, did a U-turn, and hit him on the back. That person, that friend of mine, went straight down. He could not stand up and hit his back. It was such a sorry state that, what should I say? This was such a sorry state that he actually called up one of his friends somehow, and we all got the information through WhatsApp group, and we ran and got hold of him. Took him to a nearby hospital. They could not treat him. Ran to another hospital where he had to get operated. In that entire process, he was...
Did the police take action? Vivek, quickly make your point. Did the police take action?
I'll straight away come to that point. Coming to the why am I making up this story? That person who had hit my friend was in such a state of drunkenness that he could not even park his car, and he was having his own family children inside the car. When everything was done, the police came in. They took the blood samples. The other part had some political connections. When we went to the police station with everything, the police, after 72 hours, saying that the blood sample taken at that time is incorrect because the sample was kept open. We fought our best, but end of the day, what the status of that entire
What do you do, Dr. Vikram Singh? Look at the horror stories that are pouring in. We've opened our call-in line so that viewers can call us and talk about the story, but look at the state of policing. Look at the horror stories that are now unfolding. Here this man narrating the ordeal that he and his friends had to go through, and that man who hit his friend was allowed to go scot-free.
It is so disconcerting and depressing to hear these horrific stories. Caller after caller has repeated their stories, which would leave anybody shocked, which would leave anybody stupefied. And I'm extremely sorry to say that I apportion the blame upon myself also for being a part of the police. The credibility of the police department in the uniform takes a toss and takes a beating as nothing else would. And this is such a tragedy that these things, at least what you can do is to have come down like a ton of bricks on the accused. Be fair in your investigation, be prompt in your investigation, and when it comes to handling the accused, prompt medical investigation, prompt charge sheet, so that he does not get the benefit in the court of law that the charge sheet was not filed in 90 days. Absolutely no nonsense approach to investigation, but I find that the entire police leadership has failed the victims of such cases, hit and run cases, those driving under the influence of alcohol. They have not been treated the way, with the respect, the dignity and
it is becoming a norm. I am sorry to say that, Dr. Singh, that all this is becoming a norm.
When proper
and Trisha Shetty, before I come to you, Ramakrishna is a next caller from Bengaluru. Mr. Ramakrishna, good evening, sir. Please go ahead.
Good evening. See, hello?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
I have only one point to make. See, all such incidents, I have only one point to make. That is, this type of incidents, which is happening across the country, is only due to interference and protection provided by politicians across the country.
So political patronage is to be blamed?
Yes, there is no political patronage.
Thank you, Mr. Ramakrishnan, for calling in and sharing your views. Trisha Shetty, now let me come to you. I'm sure as a practicing lawyer, you also come across several such horror stories. But this one from Bengaluru, where a VVIP brat involved in a hit and run case is taken to a private hospital, whereas he should have been taken to a government hospital, was allowed to flee. And like Bijon Mishra said, that the police, in this case, it looks like, designed this escape plan for him.
Most definitely. I think we see this time and again where celebrities can get away with drunken murder and there's no accountability. What is the point of having robust laws in a country like India, where if you have any sort of clout, influence, money, power, influence, you can get away with any sort of action in terms of killing, murder, drunk driving, anything, and there just seems to be impunity with regards to law. Where is accountability? You and I are sitting on newspaper, on TV here, commenting on the disastrous levels of apathy we see by governments and institutions, but where is accountability of the police personnel who let this man walk away? We have rape survivors who want to get some sort of good medical treatment after they get raped, but they're categorically directed to government hospitals. They're never directed to private hospitals to ensure that they get good quality healthcare. But here you have a VVIP brat, as you rightfully called him, who's been accused of hitting someone on the road, and then he gets VIP treatment where he's sent to private hospitals. You would never see this kind of treatment being afforded to victims, but yet we have perpetrators of crimes being afforded the best kind of treatment in a country like India, which is supposed to be a democracy. This is a laughable and a horrific state of affairs.